I'll concede your point just for brevity. But
What? Brevity? We don't do that around here. It's probably
No.
Citrus, or what is a Capital One Bowl? It used to be Citrus Bowl, right?
oh
Yeah,
my
Capital
God,
One
dude,
Bowl.
where have you been?
I just like the real name.
It hasn't been the Citrus Bowl since like what, 2002?
What was your highlight side dish from Thanksgiving?
Oh gosh, Scotch.
This is the Buck Around, the podcast devoted to all things Wisconsin Badger football from a fan perspective. Featuring your hosts, Richard Branch and Maxwell Brusky.
All right, everybody, this is going to be episode 362 of the Buck Around podcast. You got Max rolling solo tonight. Absent co-host Richard Branch, who is, I want to say on assignment, but no, let's just say he's out of town. Probably picked a good time. So we're going to do Colin type show, and the wonderful talk arounds are going to be the basis of the show tonight. And I'm going to try not to swear. And I just want to set my scene a little bit for Saturday night. So one game that I went to in Madison, and the one game I'm going to go to in Madison this year, was in Alabama. It was great, except for the on-field results, and obviously that was a sign of things to come for this crappy team. Because there's really no other way to describe it. From what I understand, I guess Dylan Jones had a pretty good game, ran hard. It's kind of nice to see. For my Saturday night, tailgating was fantastic. Shout out to a longtime friend of the show, Brian, and the People's Tailgate. Helped everybody, I think, get ready for the game. And at that time, there was still optimism. It was a typical pregame for a Wisconsin-Iowa match. Those are still my favorite. Always will be my favorite. No sun there this time, which is probably for the best. And I want to say, did I know what was coming? No. What did we all think after Michigan? Oh, there's a chance here, right? Wisconsin 3-point home dog, first time in a long time in a Wisconsin-Iowa game. I can't remember the year or the stat. I think it was like 15 years. Does that sound about right? 15, maybe 20 years. So we got a chance, right? If we can just put together a solid defensive performance. We knew it was going to be tough to score on Iowa's defense. But then again, this isn't a vintage Iowa defense. It's a good Iowa defense like always, but this isn't the last 3-4 years Iowa defense. And by the time I got into the stadium, it was already 3-0. And over the next 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, it was already 17-0. And it just went downhill from there. Fortunately, in the south end zone, it's a bar. And by that time, the Brewer game had started. So you had something else at least to look at. And I have to say, I really, I didn't pay much attention to the game other than being in that south end zone, which is right near the visitors crowd. Usually a lot of family members of players in that section. And what I've come to know since I've been hanging out there these last couple of years is I've gotten to hear that crowd even more than the Wisconsin crowd. And I don't know where we're at. The coach lost me at Maryland. I think everybody knows I was pretty optimistic. And there is a listener and friend who addressed that topic, at least as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know where we go from here. The day went the night turned out well, obviously with the Brewers winning over the Cubs and continuing this postseason run, which I hope will continue. It's not looking great, at least in game 2 right now as I'm recording. But that was a nice salve for everybody that night. I shouldn't say everybody because it wasn't so much for my wife, who was one of the few decked out in Cubby blue. But I know there were a lot of crossover between the Iowa fans, so at least they didn't get the double over the Wisconsinites Saturday night. So yeah. By the time the game had ended, or at least I shouldn't say the game had ended because it was the first time that I've ever left a game in my life, probably for any team that I've rooted for, before the end of the game. And I think it was about 8 minutes left. And I'm not going to say that I didn't try to bribe a security guard, 2 of them, in fact, to let me rush the field. I confirmed with my wife that she would bail me out of jail. And we had a discussion whether my employer would care about that kind of misdemeanor on my record or showing up. And I told the guy to name his price. I probably would have gone 500 bucks. Again, this may or may not have happened. But these guys were just too nice. And they really did talk me out of just bum rushing them because again, they were just too nice. And all I wanted to do is just run onto the field from the left side, the home side of the south end zone, and dart out there and pretty much just go yell at the sideline, specifically the head coach. And what my main selling point was to these guys was, I'd be a folk hero if I did that. Alas. So fortunately, again, we had to go watch the end of the Brewer game. That was good. So that at least took the edge off. For me personally, I didn't drive home, thankfully, and it's about 2 hours back to Aurora. My lovely wife knows that she's always up to drive us home from night games in Madison, which happened again. But it allowed me some time to go to the Twitters and even listen to a post game show on Madison radio, which I normally don't get to do. And I just got more and more angry. The joy of game 5 wore off pretty quickly in the car. And a lot of my thoughts were in my Twitter account. So that's kind of where I'm at. And that kind of sets the scene. So I had texted my partner, who we knew we were going to have a different kind of episode with him out of town. And he told me that the talk around line was pretty darn good. So we're going to have something of a call-in show tonight. So this first one, I think we are at, I want to say 6:50 p.m. Central. So let's get started.
Hey, this is Pat in South Dakota. That last interception, the one that was almost a pick six, might have just broken me. I think I'm done with college football. The sport is stupid. I'm open for new suggestions. Thank you.
Now, for Pat, I don't have any new suggestions for you. When I was listening to this the first time, I think I thought of Highlight, maybe. At least if you want to stick with the Badger thing, there's always basketball season around the corner. Certainly volleyball. I know it was a up and down weekend for the Badger women, but there's that. Even maybe hockey, both men's and women's. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the men's. But mind you, this was at 6:50. And that was the first of them that came in 6:50. So I'm thinking right about what? First quarter, somewhere in there, when quarterback Hunter Simmons just seemed to fall apart. I read somewhere that he had a quarterback rating of 0.08. It sounds like a blood alcohol level. No, maybe it was 0.8, which would be a really bad blood alcohol level. But that's probably, I'm not going to say my blood alcohol level got to that. And Hunter Simmons played the whole game. Or if you want to call that playing, and I don't want to pick on the poor guy because I'm sure he's a perfectly nice guy and came in as a senior, but he's playing, the Southern Illinois grad transfer, hardly played at all in a college game. Didn't look terrible against Michigan, did he? This was a horse of a different color. I don't know why he stayed in. I don't know if Danny O'Neill's not available. I don't know if putting Danny in there would have changed the game that much or changed the dynamics of the game, considering it was 23-0 at halftime. But nevertheless, it does make you wonder, why are we staying with Hunter Simmons? Why? And I say we, I mean like a coaching staff. Like, put myself in the coach's shoes. Why are we staying with Hunter Simmons? Mind-boggling, and a mind-boggling performance. Those were all mistakes. I don't know. Even after a pick six, or after sort of a pick six, as Pat pointed out, there was a backward pass fumble. I don't remember the last time I've seen one of those. At least on a field at Camp Randall or in a game involving the Badgers. I don't know when the last time I've seen that. So you're at the point where you've seen it all, and not in a good way. So Pat, yeah, thanks for getting us started. Okay. Next one again. All right. This one does have to do with my confidence level.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Madison can acknowledge that their bet was actually $20,000.
Thank you. I know who that is, and I'm not going to call him out on the show, or at least right now. But I will say that he's not just a friend, but a neighbor. And yeah, we did make a freaking bet. I lost a bet to him that Wisconsin would cover against Alabama. It was not $10,000. And I took the Badgers over 4.5 wins for the season. And that was when this person and I were texting about they won't win more than 3 games. I said, oh, yeah. And I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is on 3. And he actually offered me 4.5. And thank God it wasn't $10,000. Not that I had that much confidence in this team, but yeah, there was a bet that was made, and for the damn record, it was $100, and I'm not feeling good about that coming in. So, thanks for calling the talk around line, sir, and may it not be the last time. All right, next up we have Chris.
Hey, this is Chris from Minnesota, but I'm in Milwaukee tonight at Game 5. It's halftime of the Badger game, and I'm so thrilled to not be watching. Go Brewers, beat the Cubs, I guess, on Wisconsin.
Now that young man got his wish, at least with Game 5, but doesn't he express a sentiment? Like, I'm so glad I'm not watching. I couldn't join in because I was there, but I really wasn't watching. So thank you, Chris, for calling. And yeah, at least Game 5 did go our way. All right, next up we got Steve, longtime listener and definitely not first time caller.
Hey guys, Steve from Portland. Remember when we were afraid that the Ohio State job would come open and we would lose Luke Fickell? I do.
You know, that's crazy because I actually do remember that. And back in those halcyon days, and I don't know, maybe this is the point of the show where I kind of wanted to address the Jim Leonhard thing, at least for me. A, he's not coming back. B, I don't think Wisconsin football would look like it does were he made the head coach back in 2022, at least not today. I don't think it would look like this. I don't know how many wins they would have versus losses over the last since that time, but I know it wouldn't look like this. But either way, he's not coming back. But to Steve's point, I do remember those times. I remember thinking, because this was when Ryan Day, now a national championship winner and still only one winning over Michigan. So I guess he's still kind of on the hot seat, right? But he was really on the hot seat then. And there was some wonder, oh my gosh, maybe he's going to go take the Bears job, Ryan Day, and it'll open up the job for Ohio State. And boy, wasn't Luke Fickell a hot commodity at that point? My goodness, it seems like forever ago now that we're wondering if this team will ever win another game again. And I'm not just saying 2020, 2025. Yeah, it's that bad. All right, here we go. Let's next caller is going to be Jack.
Hey, this is Jack from Waukesha. I'm currently outside State Street Brats, just left the game at halftime, and I just want to let you all know that there wasn't a Badger game today, and go Brewers. And by the time you guys read this, Brewers are going to be playing the Badgers in the NLCS. Go Brewers.
Jack is right. We are in game 2 right now, and that young man left at halftime. So that brings me to another point of apathy. Now, I did stay just to see what that jump around was going to look like. And I don't even know how you can do it in a game like that. And at a point in a season like this, the likes of which certainly nobody's ever seen during or since the inception of the jump around tradition in 1997. Yes, it's been that long. Remember, this is the first shutout against Iowa since 1980, or the first home, what was it, 1973? That's right. First home shutout since 1980. I mean, I always talk about what these guys were like when I was a kid, you know, in the 70s and the 80s. It was bad. This is like then. Except you didn't have, you know, I don't know, 30 years of a track record of really good teams to look back on. So yeah, I leaving at halftime. I know people that can't get rid of tickets for next week against Ohio State unless they're selling them for $20. And I'm not talking about like, you know, good stadium seats. I'm talking even worse seats. People that just they can't even get rid of them. The jump around, and by the time the fourth quarter started, the stadium was completely empty. And I know it was at least a recorded sellout. And at least from what I saw in the first quarter, the stadium was it looked like a sellout. It was full. I mean, its sellout is just over 76,000. It definitely looked like 76,000 people were there. By the time it was the fourth quarter, I mean, it was, I don't know, maybe 5,000 people, and including a couple of us, because the south end zone was still serving. So, yeah, left at halftime. That's where we're at. And Jack, I don't blame you at all. So, I mean, what are we doing here? All right. Next up. Now this is going to be a little bit of a longer one. So next one is John. Caller many times into the Talk Around line. Here we go, John.
This is John in San Francisco. I think the most depressing part of that game was watching Iowa successfully execute a 2-minute drill on a drive that started on their own 5-yard line, and realizing that I honestly cannot remember the last time Wisconsin actually ran a successful 2-minute drill. Like, I don't even know if it's been in the last 10 years. I think it's just, we're in full apathy mode right now. Like, I don't even look forward to the games. I just plan on having it on in the background while I'm doing something else. I had a friend of mine who went to Iowa text me in the third quarter, and just saying, what happened to Wisconsin? And I started to reply and realized that I would need a 30-slide PowerPoint presentation and a grant from the National Science Foundation to accurately describe everything that has happened and gone wrong for this program. It is truly the bottom. And yeah, I think the worst part is, no one has any plan for how this is going to get better. And, I think, people are just checking out, obviously. But in any case, I love the show. Glad you guys are soldiering on and on Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, this is definitely soldiering on. I'm so glad that everybody called to give us some content. So this is platinum wordsmithing. I don't think we have that. So John, I really, really appreciate it, and appreciate you calling in and offering your thoughts. I raised a lot of points there. I don't think you're going to get that grant. and I'm not saying that would be under this or any other administration. That grant would be denied. But where are we at here? You got everything that's gone wrong, and it's the bottom. I mean, I don't think so. As long as this dude is still here, I mean, just wait till the next 2 weeks. And it's so strange seeing commercials for Wisconsin, Ohio State. I don't know how you hype that. I don't know if you can bring Ice Cube back like for the Michigan game to do something, which that's a whole another weird one there. But still, it's so strange seeing these commercials for the game next week. I mean, does anybody not think it's going to be a repeat of 59-0 or worse? Of course, that was a Big Ten championship game. The Badgers didn't suck. That team had Melvin Gordon on it. They had a really good defense. And this Ohio State team might even be better than that one was on a third string quarterback. Wisconsin was favored going into that game. And the only thing I can think of is, maybe that's Zeke, right? But I mean, isn't this Ohio State team even better than that one? I don't know. I mean, it did win a natty, but I don't know. So we're talking, you got apathy mode, and John, I have, several Iowa friends that have asked me the same thing. And it's a sign of longtime appreciation for for what really had been the Big Ten's best rivalry out of outside of Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, over the last 25 years or so, it really has been the rivalry, I think. Not saying that in a biased way, but the Iowa people, they have pity for us, and I can't blame them. And obviously folks know my son goes there, and he gets mad about what Ferentz does. And boy, look how good you have it, right? No end in sight. All right. One of friend of the show, Travis.
Hey guys, this is Travis from St. Louis. This is my halftime Badger haiku. Go ahead and get ready to cue the sensors. I'm 3.5 IPAs in and feel this is very appropriate for what I've seen tonight. So let's go. Big time trophy game. What the is happening? We all hurt inside. I do have another haiku. I feel like I should be sober and with coffee before I say it. Boys, have a good night. See ya.
Travis, that was a beautiful sentiment. And I haven't sworn yet. I'm pretty proud of myself. You, however, did. That was a wonderful haiku. That's spot on. As all your haiku have been. 3 IPAs. That's like, yeah, okay. By the time of halftime, I think I was probably double or triple that. All right. Now we have, this is Ryan. Thanks for calling.
Hey, it's Ryan from Seattle, and oh man, I think I have a level enough head about me to admit that at the time we hired Fickle, it seemed like a good idea, and that I don't know that I have any reason or anything to stand upon that would lead me to believe that Jim Leonhard would be running a dramatically or even marginally better football team than what we saw on the field today. But even if this was a Jim Leonhard coach team and we got our dicks punched in by whatever the fuck the score was today, at least I'd be able to watch that game and know that we didn't two-time one of my childhood idols to man, I'm not even making sense. Never mind. Watching Badgers football makes me yearn for the sweet nectar of death. On Wisconsin. Ryan from Seattle calling back. Sorry, my brain short-circuited a little bit during my last call. I think the sentiment I was trying to express, and one of the things that keeps crossing through my head and making me not even angry, just sad when I watch the Badgers this year, is that, Jim Leonhard was our interim coach, and all signs were pointing toward him taking over the team. Now, like I was trying to say before, I understand that nothing is given is college football. And then at the time that Pickle's hire was made, it was a rock star hire. I don't think anyone questioned it. It was universally praised as being a good move by Wisconsin. We all see where we are now, and we all know that, Jim Leonhard is more or less estranged from the Wisconsin program. I feel like whenever I hear his name come up and about, the possibility of him ever coming back, the answer always seems to be no way, or at least at the very least, not unless Chris McIntosh is gone. So I guess it just makes me sad that we really damaged and severed a relationship with a Wisconsin Badger legend, someone who was a hero of mine growing up, all to lose, all for the outcome to be us losing to 30-something to nothing to fucking Iowa at home. Again, I know that's not the most rational line of thought, but whatever. It's where my brain goes. So that's all I want to say. Also, on a genuinely curious note, I know this was also a big recruiting weekend for us, and I'm so fascinated by what that looks like on weekends where it's like, oh yeah, big recruiting weekend, and then you get fucking blown out and the entire fan base, even at the game, is chanting for the firing of your head coach. Like, how do you even start to do damage control with recruits in a situation like that? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, I want to know what the script is to recruits who attend weekends like this, because what a shit show. Anyways, like I said, you're in for death, yada, yada, yada. I'm Wisconsin. Bye.
That's a great question, Ryan. I've wondered the same thing because Maryland was like that too. And I have no idea. I mean, I felt that way in 2021. And that was at Soldier Field, not even at home. And I just remember thinking, how the hell do you recruit to this against Notre Dame? How the hell do you recruit to this? Anyway, I have no idea. The strangest thing I think that came out of this weekend was the Badgers actually did pick up a top priority D-line commit who had been committed to UCLA. That happened this weekend. And I think it was, I don't even know if it was Sunday. It might have even been later on Saturday. I don't know. But that one was mind-boggling, and I do want somebody to answer that question. I don't know what the hell you tell these guys. And, since the game, there was a decommitment. Deshaun Bardo, who was a pretty high-level wide receiver, and there's a lot of excitement around him committing. I think he was either the first or second one, and he had been kind of the Pied Piper of the class to this point. But I felt like when I saw that decommitment on Monday that it was going to be one of the first dominoes to drop. Now, does it really matter? This is not mine. This is a Bill Kingism, so I'm yet another one of those from me. But if you don't have the right coach, who cares what your recruits look like? Does it really matter? If you have the wrong guy, if you don't hire the right guy, which Wisconsin clearly didn't. Ryan talked a lot about Jim Leonhard. Again, at the time, I think Ryan's a little incorrect that it was universally praised. That's not the case. There were many people that wanted Jim Leonhard, and a couple of them in local media as well. And I kind of wondered, even somebody who made a bet with me felt that way. I thought it was a home run hire. I thought it was going to be pretty good. So I was in that camp along with most of the national media, who I think that was pretty universal. Right. You're right about that. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was universally praised. So to go back to recruits, that's another point with Jim Leonhard too. I don't know. I think the thing with him has always been that he's really not into recruiting. That's why he's back in the NFL, and since since his time with Wisconsin, he's been an analyst in Illinois. But other than that, he's been in the NFL. Take that for what it's worth. And on the topic of recruiting, I don't know how much that would have been better, but nevertheless, if you don't get the right guy, who cares what the recruits look like? It's still not gonna work. You rather have the right guy. And even if it's a take it to zero rebuild, as Mr. King would say, have that coach, have that guy rebuild the whole damn thing, rather than have the wrong coach and a recruiting class with a bunch of stars in it. And I mean by stars on the star system. So let me see here. Ryan, always good content from you, sir. All right. Next up, we have
Rob from Stone Prairie. I don't know what it says about this team that I got home and saw it was 10-0. I knew I wouldn't have to watch a second of this game, that they wouldn't be able to score enough to make it a game.
I am 99% sure we know Rob by another name from calls into the talk around over the years. And I say 99%, but Rob does not sound enthusiastic. And if I think by the time I woke up on Sunday morning, I probably sounded like that once everything and all the substances from the night before had worn off. All right. Caller from the 757.
Hey, I'm not even sad. I just try to tell every single team's fan base that if you are a 10-win program, do not fire your coach. Do not try to start over. Do not try to get better than 10-10. I would do anything to be back to 10-10. I'm looking at you, James Franklin. All those Penn State fans think fire the coach, hire the next guy. Something's going to change. You're one step away from this downhill slide that we cannot get out of.
Well, the PSA is interesting because Penn State went ahead and did do that. At the time, nobody knew that, and I got to tell you, I'm kind of surprised by that one. At least in terms of an in-season firing from a guy who, went to the playoffs 3 weeks ago. He didn't realize that he was 3 weeks away from losing his job after losing a game to a top 3 team in overtime. I've never been a fan of Franklin, and if anybody says he should come to Wisconsin, I will never trust another opinion of yours ever again. So no, I don't want that dude, and I'll be interested to see where he goes. But kind of the shocker of the week, and when on Sunday when the news came down and started hitting everyone's phone, I think the biggest sentiment in Badger Nation was, who's next? Why are we not seeing this? When's the next tweet going to come from a fired coach? And another tweet did come, and it was Trent Dilfer from UAB. Go figure. I think from what I understand, he should have been fired last year sometime. All right. Quick and pithy from our fellow train man, Tom.
This is Tom on a train. I needed to report a derailment on Wisconsin.
The derailment of the East Palestine variety. All right. We're going to do one more, another reprise here. And this is this kind of really makes you wonder what's going on in Madison.
Steve from Portland, doing some quick math and realizing that $25 million is peanuts compared to $49 million for James Franklin. But
now I think Steve's right as far as the peanuts go compared to the almost 50 million of James Franklin buyout. But boy, does that bring up a whole bunch of different questions, doesn't it? I mean, Franklin did have 3 games and a lot of success at Penn State. I know he's little game James, but nevertheless, it's an in-season firing. Does Penn State have more money into their program than Wisconsin does? Not entirely sure about that. Maybe I'm really wrong, but I don't think I am. I think Wisconsin is something like it's top 15 endowment or athletic department money. It's one of the ones that's consistently in the black. Has very good other sports, as everyone knows. I go back to the money thing too, and I've been if you saw my Twitter account, I said this at Maryland, and it's a hat tip to another friend of the show who really kind of legitimized the concept for me about walking away from the buyout, a la Gary Anderson from Oregon State, not Wisconsin. He didn't get a buyout at Wisconsin because he left voluntarily. I think he's the only one to ever do that. None of these guys, need the money. And I know some of it'll be offset. And I know for Franklin, he has a clause, and I think all these contracts have a clause in it that requires them to actively look for a job in, the broadcast media or coaching college football. I strongly doubt that Franklin will have a tough time finding another job. Just probably not at Wisconsin. I don't think that once Luke Fickell is gone, which is inevitable, I don't know when, but it's inevitable, in my opinion, that he'll have a tough time finding another job as well. It's an interesting perspective too, when you think of the 2 coordinators that he had at Cincinnati, at least, the 2 biggest ones, I think, that went to the playoff with him on that team, or Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock, and that's the engine that made Notre Dame go for the last couple of years. So it really makes you wonder how much of it was the coordinators and how much of it was the staff. On Fickell's tenure at Wisconsin, he hired the wrong coordinator. Obviously, is for the first 2 seasons. I think we were pretty excited about Jeff Grimes, but I mean, apparently he's either got that little to work with, or I don't know if he knows what he's doing either. and, raw materials in terms of a quarterback. Nobody's really had that. And that part of it's unfortunate. I mean, it's injuries, obviously. I don't know what this would have looked like had Billy Edwards been there the first time. But you know what? He doesn't play defense. And he can't do everything himself. So God only knows. He's not the one letting punts get blocked or field goals get blocked. Name it. God only knows. But, I've never been one of the Fire Trestle people. And, up until I don't know what's going to look like this week, but there definitely were some signs, at least on the stopping the run this year. But, I just go back to those games, even in 2023 against Northwestern. I mean, I think that was the first of what is Trestle doing? Let's get rid of him. So I don't know. Really makes you wonder, Fickell's how much was it? How much of it was the coordinators? Because clearly over the past, I don't know, 9 or 10 press conferences going back to last season, it's pretty clear that Fickell doesn't know what to do either. I think this one was even worse. Monday press conference was really more of the same. I don't have any answers. Let's do this, and whatever you can say about moving on to the next game is hollow. And especially when you look at the rest of the schedule. So, Steve, I think that was that was a short voicemail for sure, but it made a lot of points. Especially that it's the buyouts, right? Everybody talks about the buyout. I go back to the money that Wisconsin has, and Wisconsin has money. I forgot. I confess I can't remember the Chinese billionaire's name that one big cat is trying to recruit for better or worse, or the ABC Supply lady, Hendricks, I think is her name. Trying to get people like that involved. Wisconsin has plenty of people with plenty of money, but why on earth would you spend it on this? And I think that has always been the thing with Wisconsin's money, that it's more conservative, and if it gets bitten, going into the the NIL or anything like that, it'll never happen again. So I don't know. I think they could put together a buyout if that's what they wanted to do. And does it make sense to wait till the end of the season? Is it really $10 million that you save? I mean, is it worth it? I don't know. Making a coaching change now it's not likely to win any more games against the schedule, but at least I think 99.9% of Wisconsin fans would feel better if there was a different face there. And I don't know who that would be either for an interim coach. I don't know. Kenny Guyton. I have no idea. And I don't know if that's, that's part of the holdup too, or if it's $10 million off the buyout. But for whatever reason, this dude is still here giving a Monday press conference talking about the Ohio State game. And I think it's we're going to move into anger and apathy and pathos once the camera goes to him on the sideline for at least the next game, because he's not going away during this week. Maybe next week, I don't know. But watching that dude on the sideline with that dumbass flipping vest, I don't know. I feel like I want to get one of those. And I don't know. Maybe I could burn that one in the south end zone and get arrested for that. I have no idea. But such as it is, thanks everybody for calling. And at least for me, I didn't swear the whole time. So I'm really happy. I'm glad I didn't record this on Saturday night, because it would have been a much different story. So with that, I know the co-host will be back in the saddle next time around, and we'll see what the state of the program is next week. And until next time, bye-bye.
Enjoy the conversation? Head on over to buckaroundpodcast.com to find all the ways to connect with the show, links to our Patreon page, and feeds for every major podcasting platform. We want to thank each and every one of our patrons. You make this podcast possible. This has been The Buck Around, Badger football analysis from a fan perspective.